You know how everyone's always chasing a good night's sleep?
Mm-hmm.
Well, get this. We're diving deep into how to make that happen,
Nice.
especially for those of you with little ones who, well, aren't exactly fans of sleep.
Yeah.
We've gone through tons of research on sleep routines
Yeah.
and training, so
Yeah.
get ready to become a sleep expert yourself.
I like it.
You know, it's funny how we think of routines as something we do to kids.
Right.
But honestly, don't we all kind of thrive on routine?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like setting the stage for your brain to just power down.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we often forget about the whole science behind it,
Right.
but our bodies really do love predictability, especially when it comes to sleep.
Totally.
We have these internal clocks, our circadian rhythms, and those routines, those consistent routines really help keep them in check.
That makes so much sense. It's like, imagine traveling across time zones all the time.
It throws everything off.
Exactly. And it's not just about avoiding those bedtime battles.
Yeah.
It's like we're actually working with our biology to make sleep happen.
I love that. Working with our biology.
Right. So speaking of making sleep happen, let's break this down.
Okay, yeah.
What are the actual steps to create this ideal sleep environment?
Well, you got to start with the foundation, right?
Okay, yeah.
A consistent bedtime. And I'm talking consistent, like clockwork.
Like no exceptions.
Well, I mean, as much as you can, sticking to a regular sleep schedule, even on weekends.
Oh man, the weekends are tough.
I know, but trust me, it makes a huge difference. It helps regulate your child's natural sleep-wake cycle.
You're speaking my language. I'm all about that predictable schedule.
Good.
Although I'll admit, even I get tempted to stay up late on weekends sometimes.
It's tempting, I get it.
But you know what? When I stick to our routine, everyone's happier in the morning.
Oh, I bet. Including you, right?
Oh, 100%. Especially me. All right, so consistent bedtime, check. What's next in the sleep symphony we're creating?
Okay, so now we gotta set the mood. We're talking about a calming pre-sleep routine.
I love that. Setting the mood for sleep.
This is where you can get creative, personalize it for your child. Think warm bath, some calming music, reading their favorite story.
Oh, all the good stuff.
Anything to signal to their little minds and bodies that it's time to wind down.
I love that you said personalized because it really is about finding what works for your family. Like for us, bath time is basically sacred.
Nice.
We're talking bubbles, bath toys. I might even throw in some underwater singing. Don't judge.
Hey, whatever works, right.
Exactly. The point is, find what your little one loves and make it part of your nightly routine.
And as tempting as it is, try to resist those screens before bed.
Okay, I know we all know this by now, but
It's worth repeating.
it's true. And it's everywhere. But it's not just about being that nagging parent. There's actual science behind it.
Right. It's fascinating. It all comes down to how our brains respond to light. Screens, they emit this thing called blue light.
Okay?
And that blue light, well, it actually messes with our melatonin production.
Melatonin, that's a sleep hormone, right?
Exactly. So when we're on our phones or watching TV before bed, we're basically telling our brains to stay awake.
It's like a shot of espresso for your brain right before bed.
Exactly. Not what we want.
Not at all.
Instead of screens, we got to create that sleep sanctuary.
Ooh, I like that. A sleep sanctuary.
Soft lighting, comfortable temperature, those cozy blankets. It's about appealing to the senses.
Makes sense. So we've got this whole sleep sanctuary vibe going.
Yes.
And the research also mentioned this thing called a consistent sleep cue.
Oh, absolutely. The sleep cue.
What's that all about?
So it's like a signal to the brain.
Okay.
This comforting little ritual that basically says, time for sleep, everyone.
Like a little bedtime announcement?
Exactly. And your child's brain will start to recognize it.
Make the association.
Exactly. And that can make that whole transition to dreamland way smoother.
It's like that final puzzle piece in the bedtime routine. It could be anything, right? Like a lullaby or a phrase or even a special stuffed animal.
It could. It totally could. As long as it's consistent.
Got it. So whatever you choose, stick with it.
Yes. Consistency is key.
Right. Consistency is key.
With everything.
Especially with kids.
What?
But now I got to ask.
Yeah.
What about sleep training?
Yeah.
When your little one's still figuring out how to actually fall asleep on their own.
Oh, sleep training. I know. It can feel like a whole other beast, right?
Totally.
It's a sensitive topic for sure.
It is.
You got to approach it with empathy.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be realistic. What works for one family might not work for another.
That's so true. Every kid's different.
Exactly.
So how do we figure out what works?
Well, there are some common methods out there,
Oh, yeah.
and the research actually dives into two of them.
Let's hear it.
The Ferber method and the chair method.
Okay, Ferber chair method.
Let's start with Ferber. Okay. So it's often called graduated extinction, and
Extinction sounds kind of intense.
I know, the word can sound scary.
It does.
But it's not about ignoring your child's cries at all.
Okay.
It's about teaching them to self-soothe and learning to fall asleep independently.
So it's more about giving them the tools they need to fall asleep on their own.
Exactly. You got it.
Okay, I like that a lot better.
Good, good.
So with Ferber, you're basically increasing the time between those check-ins, right?
That's it. You're letting them practice those self-soothing skills.
Which makes a lot of sense. Developmentally, they're learning to handle those nighttime wake-ups on their own.
Exactly. You're right on.
Okay, so Ferber method, got it.
Now, for something a bit gentler, we have the chair method.
Okay, this sounds interesting.
So with this one, you start by sitting in a chair right next to their crib or bed, offering comfort and reassurance, but without picking them up.
So you're there, but not quite hands-on.
Exactly. And each night, you move the chair a little further away.
Oh, I like that. It's a gradual step towards independence.
Yes. And eventually, they're drifting off on their own.
It's like teaching a kid to ride a bike.
Yes, exactly.
You start with training wheels, then you slowly let go as they get more confident.
That's a perfect analogy.
And it makes me feel better because those methods, while super helpful, can still feel a bit daunting.
I hear you. It's a big decision.
It is, which is why I'm so glad the research includes some real stories.
Oh, me too.
Because sometimes we just need to hear from other parents who've actually been there, you know?
Absolutely. It's so validating.
So the research talks about Sarah and James, two parents who face some serious sleep challenges.
Okay. Yeah.
Sarah, she was dealing with the 18-month sleep regression.
Oh, the dreaded sleep regression.
I know. It's like your kid just decides to hit the reset button on all things sleep.
They really do. Right when you think you've cracked the code, bam, sleep
Yeah.
regression.
The worst. So what happened with Sarah?
Well, she had this routine, right? Everything was going smoothly. Her little one was sleeping through the night, and then all of a sudden,
The night wakings returned?
they returned with a vengeance.
Oh, I've been there. It's the worst. What did she do?
Okay, so here's the thing. Sarah, she didn't panic.
Oh, good.
She doubled down on consistency.
She stuck with the routine they already had.
Yep, she stuck with it, and she really focused on that calm, soothing bedtime environment.
It's like reminding their little one that bedtime is a safe and peaceful time, not something to be scared of.
Exactly. And guess what?
Did it work?
It worked. She guided her child back to sleeping through the night.
Music to a sleep-deprived parent's ears. See, consistency really is key.
That makes a world of difference.
Okay, so Sarah found success with consistency and a focus on the routine. What about James? What was his sleep struggle?
Oh, okay, so James was facing those epic bedtime battles.
Oh, bedtime battles. I know them well.
With his 3-year-old daughter.
Oh, man, 3 years old. That's a tough age.
It can be, it can be.
So what did he do?
You know, after months of trying to figure it out on his own, he decided to call in some reinforcements. Okay.
He hired a sleep consultant.
Nice, getting professional help.
Exactly. And they recommended the Ferber method.
That makes sense. Sometimes you just need that expert guidance, especially when you're exhausted.
100%. And you know what's interesting?
What?
James, he was actually a bit hesitant about the Ferber method at first.
Really? Why?
He was worried it would be too harsh.
I think that's a common worry for parents.
Oh, totally. Letting your child cry, even for a little bit, it can feel wrong.
It does.
But the sleep consultant helped him see how to implement it in a way that felt compassionate and effective.
It's about finding that balance, right?
Yes, finding that balance between giving them space and providing support.
Because ultimately, you're teaching them valuable skills.
Exactly.
And did it work for him? It did. Just like Sarah, he found success with consistency and adapting to his child's needs.
It's so inspiring to hear these stories.
It is.
Because it reminds you that you're not alone in these sleep struggles.
Right. We're all in this together.
And that there's hope for those of us chasing those peaceful nights.
There is. There really is.
But you know, while we're busy creating these sleep sanctuaries for our kids,
Yes.
we can't forget about ourselves.
Oh, that's so important.
It's like we're trying to function on fumes, right?
Yeah, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. And we all know what happens when we try to.
It's not pretty.
Not pretty at all.
Ah.
So how do we as parents prioritize ourselves in all of this?
Well, it starts with recognizing that self-care isn't selfish.
Okay, yeah.
It's essential. You can't be the best parent you can be when you're running on empty. So true. But when you're in that newborn phase, or even just dealing with those sleep regressions, self-care feels impossible.
I get it. I really do.
Like, when am I supposed to find time for myself?
Even those small moments can make a world of difference.
Okay, so, like what? What can we actually do?
Well, the research you provided actually suggests something pretty interesting.
Okay, I like interesting.
Try aligning your nap schedule with your child's.
Wait, like nap when they nap.
Exactly.
I see where you're going with this.
Even if it's just for 20 minutes while they're down, you try to rest too?
Nap time equals parent time. I love it.
Right. It's like a built-in self-care routine.
It is. But what about those times when you can't nap? Like if you have a short napper or multiple kids on different schedules.
Oh, I've been there. Okay, so in those cases, try just to have some quiet time instead of tackling the to-do list.
Exactly. Give yourself permission to just be, read, listen to some music, even just close your eyes and breathe for a few minutes.
Those little moments of mindfulness can be so helpful. Just to reset for a minute.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got those little moments of self-care, but sometimes you just need more, you
Yeah.
know?
I hear you. Sometimes you just need help.
Yes. And why is that so hard to ask for?
It's so common though, right?
It is.
We think we have to do it all and do it all
The
perfectly.
pressure is real.
It really is. But here's the thing. We don't have to do it alone.
It takes a village, right?
It really does. So lean on your partner, your family, your friends.
Or even a professional if you need it.
Absolutely. There's no shame in getting support.
Oh.
And you know what? In all of this, in the thick of those sleepless nights, remember, those nights, they're temporary.
Oh, tell me more.
It might feel like it'll last forever, but I promise you it won't.
It's like they say the days are long, but the years are short.
Exactly.
It's so true, especially when you're sleep deprived. But, we focus so much on taking care of those little ones.
It's what we do.
We can't forget to take care of ourselves, too.
Right. You can't give what you don't have, right?
Exactly.
Taking care of yourself is ultimately taking care of your family.
I love that. So, to all our listeners out there, remember, you've got this. Prioritize rest, ask for help when you need it, and know that you're doing amazing.
Absolutely. This parenthood journey, it's messy and beautiful, and we're all in it together.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So until next time, sleep well, everyone.